Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Welcome to the Films and Stuff debate. The idea is super simple. Ethan and I pose a simple statement or topic about which we feel needs a short, semi-nuanced discussion.
Then Pete and I will randomly assign ourselves either the pro or anti side of the statement. We then each get up to 4 minutes of uninterrupted time to argue our points.
After their opening round, Ethan and I get a 3-minute rebuttal each, which is followed by a 1-minute closing statement.
And then it's up to you, the listener, to decide who is the rightful winner. Vote for us on Twitter, leave a comment on our YouTube channel, and let us know who you think won.
And now, on to our debate.
Bring it on. Hey, Pete. Welcome back to Debate Club.
Hi, Ethan. Are you ready to do this?
I have stretched my calves. I'm all ready so I don't get any age-related injuries during this brouhaha.
I'll take your brouhaha and up it with a shenanigan.
Whoa. Okay. So, what is the topic of debate today?
So today, the topic statement is superhero fatigue in the cinema is at risk of causing the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Extended Universe to crash.
I will be arguing, yes, I have fatigue.
And I will argue, no, there is no such thing as superhero fatigue.
So who will present their case to the jury first?
It'll be you, right? Because you're the one arguing that it's. I'll be defending against that statement.
I'm the prosecutor. I'm the prosecutor.
Yeah. What I really, by the way, I have to say, I feel like we've taken the word debate, and I don't think we understand what the word debate actually means, because all of a sudden we're prosecuting this against a jury of peers. That is not a debate. This is now a trial.
It's trial. It's trial club. We've been watching too much Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. We've gone away from debate and straight to prosecutorial malpractice. Yeah,
malfeasance. I'm going to let me call the Sun right now, the Daily Telegraph, and any other gossip rags that are interested in live tweeting about this.
Page 6, Perez Hilton. Okay. All right. I've got 4 minutes to make my case, correct?
Yes, I've got my timer, and I will let you know when you're approaching 1 minute.
Ding, ding. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, to my tribunal of listeners, I submit to you that I am beginning to demonstrate the early stages of superhero fatigue onset on the basis that there are too many universes for me to keep track of. In the beginning, there was the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it was a happy place filled with well-known characters. And then Warner wanted to get in on the game, and they elbowed their way in with Batman, who's gone through some transformations, Superman, who's still to find his footing, and Wonder Woman, who we all love, and then The Flash, who continues to get kicked out of bars in Hawaii. Then Amazon wanted to get in on this group, so they created The Boys, which I loved. Then, not to be outdone, Netflix decided to throw some dirty money at this, and they created Guardians of Justice, taking both Guardians of the Galaxy and Justice League names in the ultimate demonstration of no creativity whatsoever. So my fatigue, and to add one more, MCU is starting to now add the television series as well. So it's no longer just on the big screen. We had, what did we have with Elizabeth Olsen? And then we have the Moon Knight. And there are so many that I'm even forgetting them in my opening argument. So I'm starting to get fatigued because there are too many different universes to follow. The storylines are either repetitive or they're so berserk as to not be able to follow. Let me just add one more thing that popped into my mind. And that was what's this guy? The guy who shoots a bow and arrow for Avengers.
Hawkeye.
Pete, help me out, Pete.
Hawkeye.
Do you see how many there are? We're forgetting them all. I even need to refer to Pete. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I submit that I'm starting to have superhero fatigue because there are simply too many films and series to keep track of. I'm getting them all confused. They're becoming mixed up. And yet, there is an unending amount of aliens and Egyptian deities and other gods, both within the earth, such as Eternals, outside the earth, in multiverses, other planets, and other cases to keep track of. Thank you. Beat that, Pete. Let's see what you got for the jury.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me begin by saying superhero fatigue is the concept of fatigue because of superheroes is utter nonsense. The way I see it is that superhero movies 10 years ago, 15 years ago, were certainly a genre. They followed a formula. It was more than just formulaic, it was predictable because of it. However, I would argue that in today's day and age, superhero movies are no longer genres. They're at best a subgenre, and under which they are protected by the umbrella, or not protected, but they are under the umbrella of the main genre. Let me give you some examples. For example, you've got something like Ant-Man, which was really not a superhero movie. It was a heist movie, right? It was a heist comedy with superheroes in it. Or if you look at something like Aquaman, and I know Aquaman wasn't everyone's favorite. I myself didn't like Aquaman. But Aquaman on its own, if you look at it, also not really a superhero movie per se. Yes, of course, you have the origin of Aquaman in there. But at its core, Aquaman was an adventure movie just like Indiana Jones was. They were after some artifacts and so forth. It coincidentally happened to have superheroes in it. Let's look at Moon Knight, which was kind of like a mystery of the mind, similar to Shutter Island. Or if you look at the upcoming Doctor Strange 2, directed by Sam Raimi, which has been acknowledged as potentially being the first horror movie in this genre, in this so-called genre of superheroes. My point to you is that the concept of the superhero is no longer sufficient in being called a genre. I think that is a very facile and very, let's say, naive way of looking at a movie. Just because a movie has a superhero in it doesn't make it a superhero movie. That's because, with all due credit to the fine directors and writers of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they've seen that those movies are really driven by characters and by drama and by nuance. And nuance doesn't come from being able to fly or being able to lift a car. It comes from the interactions between two people. And that could be whether you're a superhero or not. It's the fact that Spider-Man can shoot webs and fly across the sky is irrelevant. And that's why I think superhero fatigue, not really a thing. If you're fatigued with superhero movies, I put it to you that you're fatigued with movies of that specific genre in total. Thank you.
That, Pete, was a very eloquent opening. I think your statement at the end was aimed at me, and I do not appreciate that subtle slinging of arrows.
Oh, no, that wasn't subtle at all, my friend.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I would like to rebut the statements made by my learned friend Pete on the basis of a few things. The first is that I do not have entertainment fatigue. In fact, I watch more movies and more television shows now than ever, and I'm absolutely not at a point where I want to reduce that or that I'm getting bored with this type of lifestyle. Just the opposite. What I'm becoming fatigued by is a set of storylines that are either not changing or have become so convoluted and complex that they simply do not make sense and are bent around set pieces to showcase a parade of celebrities who are desperate to get their names within superhero movies. We are essentially creating all-star games where everyone wants to kind of get involved so that they've got this recurring revenue and this platform for celebrityness that they can use to fund other projects that they probably are more passionate about. So with the all-star game format, I'm finding that I'm learning less and less about my characters. There are very few emotions. There are no true love stories. There are few actual friendships. You think about Wonder Woman, who had her relationship with Steve. Now Steve is gone. Spider-Man had a girlfriend. Maybe the girlfriend is gone due to the multiverse. Apart from those two, there's really no romantic relationships, and you'd be hard-pressed to find any two superheroes that are even friendly towards each other. It's simply a basketball all-star game where you put 5 incredible names out there, and you shift the camera one by one, let them do their set piece, and then continue on to the next part of the movie with less and less coherence in terms of what is happening or why it is happening. And as we outgrow Earth, then we move into the universe. And as we outgrow the universe, then we move into the multiverse. And while I do appreciate the creativity, and it does inspire quite a lot of thought, the fact that we're starting to get so convoluted in terms of plots and storylines only means that if you don't watch every single movie out there from every single universe, you'll be left behind, and you simply won't be able to watch something because you won't understand the background or the backstory. And this, my friends, is called fatigue when you are forced to do something simply because you cannot miss what is coming next. Thank you.
All right. I like what you've said there. You've raised some good points, some that I may or may not be able to counter. Let me compose myself here.
We're so civil. We're so civil. Have you ever met adversaries who are so civil to each other?
Yeah, but that's the whole point of this, right? We're good buds who are arguing this for the honor that these debates bring, or these trials bring.
It's like sparring. Exactly.
All right.
All right, Pete.
For my rebuttal, I would just like to say, first of all, if you really look at the superhero landscape today, there's really only one universe, and that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The DCEU has kind of flipped and floundered around. They exist, but do they, don't they? We don't really know. It's very loosely connected. So I'm going to ignore, for the purposes of this argument, I'm going to ignore the DC Entertainment or Extended Universe. I will agree that there's certainly elements of interconnectedness between all of these movies and TV shows. And my esteemed colleague Ethan here did even mention that these movies are now, or shows are even really becoming so complex, and they're built around set pieces, and effectively they've become the equivalent of all-star games. Let me put it to you, dear listeners, who doesn't like a good all-star game? They're full of entertainment. They're full of slam dunks. They're full of callbacks and throwbacks to other, and I'm speaking obviously not about basketball here, about other references. And really, they're about providing a little bit of joy and a little bit of respect to the fans that have really made this universe succeed. If you watch the Avengers movies, really, what the Russo brothers did was say thank you to the audience for watching these 20 movies by throwing in all these little Easter eggs and these throwbacks and references. And in terms of these movies also being a platform to fund other projects for these superstar celebrities, where's the harm in that? That's a good thing too, right? For the overall entertainment universe that we live in, isn't it nice that we can have someone like Oscar Isaac or like Chris Evans do a superhero movie or a TV show so that he can fund 3 or 4 other movies with that are, low-key, smaller budget, something like Snowpiercer, which was also a great movie that may or may not have come out if it wasn't for the fact that Captain America was starring in it. And I would contend to you, finally, that while the programs seem vapid, or while the movies seem like that they're these all-star games with little critical content, I would just point you again towards the TV universe, where the movies kind of push a lot of narrative into these TV shows, allowing everyone to get a little more, actually a lot more depth and value from those characters. I'd love to say more, but unfortunately, that is my time.
Thank you, my friend. Pete, that was very eloquent once again. And I appreciate you raising the idea of the All-Star game and how everyone loves an All-Star game. I absolutely agree. I love a good All-Star game. But the problem with an All-Star game is that there's no stakes. You don't care who wins or loses. You don't find that the players are trying their hardest. You don't even find that the quality of the game is very good. Instead, everyone is kind of going through the motions, mugging for the camera, trying to show their best side. And we've lost a little bit of something with movies where the stakes are high because we need to know how it ends. And we walk out of the cinema or turn off the television saying, wow, can you believe that? I wonder what happened. I bet he got the girl. I bet they went along in peace. I bet they got this. With the universe, there's never an ending. And that's part of the problem, is that we want some closure in our lives. We're not just going to the cinema to waste 2 hours of our time watching our favorite characters smirk and smile and frown and throw a few punches. We're looking for something that inspires us. We're looking for an ending that puts us in shock or awe. We're looking for something that changes the way that we think about something before we went to that movie or watched that television show. And now, as the universe expands, even Warner, which is, I agree, not a great franchise at the moment, it's going through some tumultuous times. We're not really getting the closure that we want or really seeing anything that changes our expectations or causes us to gasp. And that, I think, is the reason that I'm having fatigue, is that fatigue means I'm no longer emotionally invested in the outcome because I know that there is no outcome. No one is going to die off. The world is not going to end. Everyone is going to live to fight another day, whether on this planet or a different planet or a different universe even. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I have onset fatigue.
So I will just say that was such a beautiful statement that I have no problem with the fact that you went well over time. Even though in parliamentary procedure, you would automatically have been disqualified. But that's okay. We're not
in the multiverse, I would still have time.
Yeah, in some universe out there, you came in well under time. So on average, you're fine. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my colleague Ethan here has presented us with some ideas about how superhero fatigue is a thing And ultimately, it's a thing because, superhero movies seemingly have no end and provide us with no sense of closure. I would argue that superhero movies shouldn't necessarily have a sense of closure. Because what is the purpose of a superhero film or a film that has a superhero in it? I believe that superhero movies exist as an outlet. They provide us with a source of inspiration and a source of morality and a way to guide us with what is right and what is wrong and how do we stand up to what is wrong in this world today. In that sense, I believe that superhero movies aren't just entertainment, but they provide us with a way of learning about us as people and about how we can affect change to the planet. And that's why I think that not only should we not worry about superhero fatigue, which I don't think is a thing, but that we should embrace more superhero movies. Thank you very much.
Wow. Shocking last statement to the jury. Putting it all on the line,
That's right.
Pete. Not just fatigue. We should continue pump more heroin into the system. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, look, maybe not heroin, methadone, controlled substances.
Look, I think in any case, I'd love the listeners to vote. Let's put the poll up, see if people are starting to get some level of fatigue. That being said, I do love superhero movies. I know Pete does as well, so I'm not sure that we entirely agree with my position, but there are some elements that
I certainly would agree with yours as well. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Very good. So thanks for joining us this episode of Debate Club, which turned into Law and Order Club. And we'll be back next week with another debate. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Pete. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.